What's up, winners? You are now tuned in to an exclusive episode of the Ladies in Motion podcast, Talk It Out, where we usually are shining light on women that's winning in the local community. But because today is Juneteenth, a very special day, we have a special guest in the building. I'm super excited. He's from the motherland himself and a true king. He's known internationally, and I'm going to have him introduce himself here in a moment. But before I introduce him, I have to thank Renewed Canvas Beauty Bar for sponsoring today's episode. This is a loctician here in Atlanta, Georgia, y'all, located on the outside of Atlanta in Jonesboro. They are known for lock extensions, repairing damages, braids, and just blessing natural hair all across the board. So this is where beauty is born and styles speak for themselves. So if you're looking for a place to just bless your crown, please hit up my girl Nia at the Renewed Canvas Beauty Bar and follow them on all social media platforms at renewed_canvas, okay? But thank you again for sponsoring this episode, and we're going to get right into this exclusive, okay? So, Kris, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here. I am honored to have you sit with me here today. I'm going to have you introduce yourself, and then we're going to get right into this because I was doing some research and I learned a lot about you, and I'm pretty sure there's so much that you guys don't know about this man, but he is multifaceted and internationally known, and I, again, honored to have you here today. So introduce yourself, please, so we can get right into it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kris McDred. My original name is Christopher Nganga. Kris McDred is my made-up name. I teach locks at this moment in time. That's what I'm doing. I used to be a loctician. And I'm happy to be in Atlanta. Just finished some work that I was doing. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Listen, if you don't know, after today, you're about to find out, y'all, because he just said he don't do hair now. He is an educator, and he is here in Atlanta, which I'm, again, honored to have him on the couch because I'm pretty sure after today, he's hitting the road again. You're on tour right now, teaching lock classes all across the world, right? And so we're going to just tap into all of this today. So a lot of these interviews, I like to start with your story and how you got started in the lane that you're in today. And then we go on to talk about your success. So we're going to bring this all the way back, okay? I just to allow my audience to get to know you a little bit and where this Kris McDred, where does he come from, where he originated, you know? So I like to take this back to the beginning. You were born and raised in Kenya. When you were a youngin' in Kenya, what were the plans that maybe you even seen for yourself? Did you ever see yourself like being in the hair space, educating people all across the world? Did you have different plans for yourself, maybe to be an educator in a different realm? You know, I know from doing this research, you've been in fitness, lifeguard, you know, was that your original plan and you just kind of found yourself in this lane? I'm always curious to know, like, what was the original plans you had for yourself?
I don't remember an original plan as a child, but I do remember after high school wanting to study because I love poetry. Okay. And poetry and prose. So I was writing a lot and I was playing music.
Really?
And yes. And so I was writing short stories. I have novels that I've written. And I wanted to go to Makerere University, which is in Uganda. Okay. And the reason is because my literature idol from Kenya, his name is Ngugi wa Thiong'o. He just passed away, God bless his soul. He went to Makerere University and did literature in English and was a lecturer. So in my mind, I wanted to teach, to be a grammar, not a grammar teacher, a literature, lecturer of a university teaching literature in English. That was my original plan. Okay. So technically, I'm still on my original plan. Okay. And now I run my own university. You do, and I love that. So,
something that I say all the time, too, on this platform is that, you know, we've kind of low-key always been in our lane. Yes. We just had to, you know, perfect it or pivot and figure out exactly what it is. And we have so much to uncover, guys. I'm so excited because you are a wise man.
Thank you.
Okay. And I've heard you say some things and just preparing for this. And I just can't wait to hear it directly from you,
Thank you.
and just uncover it a little bit more. So you thought you would be in Uganda. You found yourself, like, tell me when you found yourself going in a different direction. You went to college. Tell me about your college experience, or just studying after high school. Tell me about that, like after high school. And I like to start there because that's where we're entering into like adulthood. You know what I mean? So I like to start there because sometimes it doesn't always go how we plan. But at that age, we feel like we got it all figured out. So what was your plans originally, aside from teaching, in Uganda? That's what you wanted to do. What did you end up doing at that time?
So I wanted to go to Uganda for a university so I can become a professor in literature and English. But we didn't have the money for me to go to college or any of that. I was raised by my mother. And it so happened the year before I left school, my father died.
Really?
So I knew there was no way I was going to go to this college. And from there on, you immediately get into the hustle. Like, what else do you have to do?
Right.
And,
get to work.
Yes. And the work that I was doing before high school, during high school, was acting.
Really?
Yes.
So we would have seen you on the screen anyway.
You will see me on the screen anyway.
So you still have a desire to act a little?
Like you said, your lane is, you always stay in your lane, one way or another.
I love it.
Your lane will find you.
Yes, it will now.
First, I was doing it for school, like when you dramas and music festivals. In Kenya, we're big in sports, and extracurriculum is big, big, big.
Okay.
We have what you'd call state competitions. You start from zonals, districts, and so for acting and public speaking, narratives, solo verses, and drama. And so that's what I ended up doing. I found this group that was working, and I was working with them. So we would go to schools and teach, we call them set books. You don't have them in America. Set books is, I think you do have them in America. Every high school has a set of literature books they have to read.
Yeah.
And so in the last year of high school, there's a literature that comes into your exams. And so those are the literatures that would go, if it's a play that they are doing, we would perform that play so it's better understanding, because not everybody is a audio, a reader. Some people are visual, some people are audio.
Right.
So when somebody sees you doing it and hears it, it's more understanding than opening the book and read. And so that's what I went into first of all after school.
That.
Yeah.
And so I cannot wait. I know I keep saying this, but again, as doing my research for this, I just found so much out about you. Like, I did know that you had that on your list, acting. I'm like, what? Okay. But then I can kind of see it too. So, you're seeing it here now, but it's bigger screens in the future. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So be on the lookout. Okay.
Yes.
So I have to ask you this, because I did my research, and I like to ask people this question. Right now you're in this like entrepreneur, like business space. But growing up, is that something that you've seen? Like, did your parents do business, or were they, workers? Because, here we were taught to work. Only a few people in our family is like, oh, auntie so-and-so got their own business. But, a lot of us come from, hey, no, you're going to work, go get a job, you need stability, this, and that. So it wasn't a lot of people like taking chances on entrepreneurship and making their gifts make room for them. You know what I mean? So I'm curious to know, like, who did you see growing up, if you've seen anyone that was like pursuing their passions, chasing their dreams, working a business, did you see that, and who motivated
I
and inspired
didn't see
that?
anybody pursuing their passion and chasing their dreams. Growing up, there was no passion and there was no dream. It was survival.
It is survival.
So everybody got to do what they got to do to get to where they need to get to. So my father wasn't in my life, but I knew him for a moment. And first he was employed. Weird enough, when I think about it, he used to travel all the time.
Really?
Yes, when I think about it, because he used to manage long-haul trucks for a milk company. And in Kenya, we're farmers, so there's a lot. There used to be a big company, died away. And then he started his own business. And until he died, he was in that business. I have never seen my mother work for somebody else.
Okay.
In my life. I've seen a picture of my mother working somewhere where she said, I used to be a secretary. But I've never seen my mother going to work for somebody else. My mother has always been a self-employed person.
Really?
And has worked hard to raise 4 children, me and my 3 sisters. And so that's where I got the grit. That's where my mind kind of shifted from being employed to entrepreneurship, because I was already in it without knowing that I was in it. My mother wouldn't give me money growing up.
Yeah.
She would give me work to do. Every single time. You need money, you go work with the rest of the people in the farm, and I'll pay you exactly what I'm paying them.
That's very
And so
true.
that created that. From a very young age, my mother would not give me money. She would make me work for money.
That's good.
And so it was a good, initiative, instead of working for her for free. And I would work. There's chores to do at home, and then there is work to do. If you need money, you gotta. So that's where I started.
I love that. I love hearing you say that. It did something to me. You said there's chores to do, but there's work to do. It's like your chores, that's supposed to be done.
That's supposed to be done.
No expectation.
Yes.
Like, this is what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
Remind me of parents saying, you don't get rewarded for doing what you're supposed to
Exactly.
do. Like,
Yeah,
this is
you
what you're
don't get
supposed to
that.
do. But if you want extra, you gotta work. You gotta
work.
put that work
Yes.
in,
You're a member of this family. You have responsibilities in this family. Those
So
ones
she
you don't
taught you
get
that
paid for
early.
them. Yeah.
Early. So you said you had 3 sisters.
Yes.
What is your sibling dynamic like? I'm an only girl. I got 3 brothers. But I'm the 3rd born. I got 2 older than me. Then it's me, and I have a little brother. What is your
We're
sibling
almost
dynamic?
the opposite.
Almost opposite?
I have 3 sisters. I'm the second born.
Okay, second born.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and so, but you're the only guy.
Yes.
Did you feel any pressure growing up because you were the only man, and you say your father wasn't 100% there, so did you feel like that fell on you in a way?
There was no pressure growing up because
That's
my
a
mother
blessing.
took care of everything.
That's a
I
blessing.
didn't need to be a man growing up.
Ah, that's nice.
I didn't need to be a man growing. My mother was the man.
I love
and so
that.
I just needed to be a brother.
Amen.
I never, until I got married, I never needed to take care
I
of my
love
mother
that.
at all.
That's what's up.
Yes.
That's a blessing. So, gosh, so much to uncover that comes to my mind. Did you have locks as a child? And when did your hair care, like, when did that come into play? Like, you went to university, or you got to hustling, you want to act, you doing all this, talented guy, but when did that even come into play? Or were you always kind of doing hair as a kid, maintaining your own maybe, or something within the family? I'm just curious to know, how did you even get in that lane after having your lane doing, and so many other things anyway?
I never had a passion for hair or even the beauty industry.
Really?
Never thought I would ever be here. But growing up, there's the colonial standards of schools where everybody has to shave their hair. Everybody looks the same in Kenya. Now I think it's different, but growing up, everybody needed to shave their hair exactly the same size.
Really?
Yes. There's no fades on the side. There's no cuts. It's a number 1, clipper number 1, down. That's it.
Huh.
And so the women, the ladies, the girls would have the same thing. You cannot braid and have anything colored. You have only your natural hair. It's either an afro or you blow dry it and have a ponytail. And that's it. Other than that, cut your hair. In fact, in the last year of primary school before going to high school, in my time, all girls their hair was cut. So they can focus on their education and not in their hair.
So
but
beauty
yes,
was kind of pushed to the
it's
back.
not. Yes.
Okay.
So, but being the rude boy that I was growing up, I used to have long hair, and so I would get in trouble a lot in long hair. In high school, I got sent home suspended because I refused to cut my hair. I would beat it down because I wanted to be the different one. And so whenever we have school events, I would comb it out and like, yo, we didn't see he has that much hair. And then the next morning, where did his hair go? It's all wash it, press it, do-rag and all that, and keep it all the way down. And so that's what kind of triggered my love for long hair, because that's where it started. And so after high school, I wanted so much to have long hair. And in fact, it's sad that I remember when I had an afro and my sister would braid me and I would wear my Marvin so that my mother wouldn't see it. Because remember, I'm still an African child and your mother decides that if you're in your mother's house, you can't have braids. You can't have locks.
Wow.
You can't even have your ear pierced.
That's so crazy.
So, you know, it's an African homestead.
Yeah.
I still remember piercing my ear, and my mother told me, you either wear earrings or I stop wearing earrings. And so I stopped wearing earrings.
Yeah.
And then when it came to here, she said the same thing. You either cut your hair or I cut mine. And I said, Mom, you're going to have to cut yours now.
Because it's not happening.
Yeah, it's not happening.
Wow.
I'm over 18 now. I get to, you know. And so she cut her hair.
Wow.
But I kept my hair. And then I was braiding it. My sister was braiding it for me. And then I decided to do braids. I used to do cornrows.
Okay.
So that's what we call braiding.
Yeah.
So it's not just the plaits.
Yeah.
Because this is what we call the plaits. So I used to do cornrows.
Okay.
And one day I did braids, thick braids, like the way you would two-strand twist before you sleep. I just was trying a new style and I did the braids. And I liked it because I was going swimming almost every day. Because you're washing it every day. I liked the roughness. And so it looked like a free-formed lock.
Okay.
And weird enough, it locked out. I started locking it out as it went. I undo it and I twist it and I lock it up. I undo it and I lock it up. And so I had my first set of locks. Then I had an accident swimming and I had to cut them off. I had 7 stitches in my hair.
Okay.
But that was where my hair, passion, now you see where it's coming. Then after I cut my hair, I realized I needed to find a job. And the job is about how you look. In Africa is much more strict on presentation. Back in the day, now it's different than what it is now. So I said, okay, if I need to get a job, because I remember at that time, my mother was sick. And she had diabetes, she was partially blind. So I needed to support in providing. So I was like, okay, cut your hair so you can get a real job.
Right.
You know, and then get this done.
That's so interesting that, like, even in Africa, you said, you know, the locks weren't accepted. You know, that's so interesting to hear because here everyone's like, you know, oh, don't tell nobody what to do with your hair. This is a part of our culture. You know, we hear that so much. It's a part of our culture. But then you say you growing up, it was like, no hair. So it's just, you know.
It's the effect of colonization.
Right. That's still just so interesting to hear.
Also, Westernization. Why are they different? Because colonization is pain. Westernization is desire. So colonization is what we were forced to do.
Yes.
Westernization is what we are craving to become.
You're right.
So when the weaves hair, so when colonization cut our hair and changed the way we do hair as African people. And Westernizations now, okay, I want to look white. Okay, the people who look white or pretend to be white, there's a poem I remember called, I forgot that poem, about a lady putting makeup on and she's trying to look white. And so that movement of we are now the new people, and so I speak better English than you as an African person, so we are now the modern people and we get jobs. Now after colonization, we get jobs because we are we're Western educated, we speak English, you still speak your tribal land.
Right.
And so that changed people's way of dressing. And so to look classy and white collar was about shaving your hair. And so your parent wants you to look classy and white collar. So that was the Western part of it.
Right.
The colonial part of it is dreadlocks were part of Mau Mau movement. When the Mau Mau movement, what happened in Kenya was beautiful, is colonization. People think colonizers came and conquered Africa.
Right.
That's not what really happened.
For sure.
They sent explorers who didn't have guns and anything. They just had little protection. And they came with friendship to offer Africa. And I know that from Kenya because my culture, we see strangers as gifts from God. So we treat strangers with such power that God has sent this person to us. And so when the white person came, this is the attitude that he was greeted with. You want a place to stay, we'll give you. And so when everything went place and colonization happened and everything, and the white people took black people, my people, and I say my people because my tribe was in the forefront, and I'll explain later, to Second World War. And Second World War, they taught Africans how to use guns.
Okay.
Now they have taught their enemy how to beat them. And so when the Africans came back, they made those guns. And then now they started a movement. In my tribe, all married men shave their hair.
Really?
I'm in cultural appropriation of my culture because all men shave their hair as long as you're married.
That is so
In
interesting.
fact, your wife is the one that gives you your first shave from your dreadlocks because as a young man, you have dreadlocks. That's in my culture.
Okay.
So your wife is the one that shaves you. So if somebody's not shaved, we actually say, as a code word, he doesn't have a shaver. It means he's not married.
He's single. He ain't got
You
no
understand?
lady.
And so when the men came back from war, they decided we're not going to go back to our homes until the white man is out of our lands. And they said we're not. They took a vow, a blood vow, oath, not to cut their hair until the white man leaves the country. And so dreadlocks moved from the appropriation for me to now you are a warrior. Now you go to the forest and become a movement. And then from there, it became now the symbol of what it is today. Because from there, the Jamaicans took it with the Rastafarians. And then from there, Bob Marley took it to the rest of the world. Like he's the number one person who was in the forefront. And then music as black people and hip hop and reggae music was coming up. Locks started to be seen as a good thing because they were seen as terrorists. The New York Times I read said the Mau Maus were called terrorists. And then it so happened because 1945, around that time is the Second World War. So the movement of Mau Mau movement of liberation of Kenya started around that time. And it was the exact same time where the hippie movement started. Okay. So we have dreadlocks on this side that have warriors in them. And we have now a culture that is becoming, because LSD had just been discovered at that moment in time. And so we have this free-spirited people, especially white people, and then hippies. That culture started there, and dreadlocks became part of that culture. So you see that movement of how hair, for me, is an integral part of my life. And is an integral part of the African and Kenyan culture in particular, and why I hold it so dear, because it's my rebellion to society.
Yeah. And now you can even say, your rebellion has turned into royalty. It's appreciated now. It's no
Forget
longer
even appreciated. You know how I see it?
To what?
I see it as the inheritance of my tribe going to the forest to fight colonization.
Yeah.
Now I get the benefit. This is my reparations. This is my reparations from my people fighting for my freedom. And now I can travel the entire globe, the entire world, because of the pain that they had to go through. And so I'm enjoying the fruits of dreadlocks.
I love that.
Being part of my culture, and I'm literally in my inheritance, in my place of purpose. I'm so happy.
And you're the face,
Yes.
Like you are, when people hear about hair and locks, they know you. And if they don't really know about hair and locks. That's what I realized. You know what I'm saying? So even when I, leading up to this interview, I say, oh my gosh, I'm in, at my grand opening, my girl Nia, she's on the Kris McDred's, his Lock Healers Tribe. And I'll tell people and I'll say, you know who he is? And I'm like, well, if you're not really in the hair beauty space, you don't know. But if you know, you know. Yes. And it's an honor to have you, truly.
Thank
especially
you.
Just hearing about the history and just everything, and your stuff,
Thank you.
So thank you. I love hearing that. This reminds me of, I went to the Black Girl Art Show. I hosted the one in Orlando, but they have one all across everywhere. And the girl, she does hair, and she has she has a shirt that says God hair. And then underneath it says no typo. It's like good hair, but this is God hair.
I like that.
I love that.
I like that.
I love that too. And, we're going to move on in a minute, but I just got to bring up something because, you talk about how it was like a rebellious thing to have these locks. Me starting my locks, I just wanted natural hair. I was sick of perming my hair, like straighten it. I was personally sick of like getting like weaves done, because then I would feel so crazy afterwards, like, but still, what am I gonna do to my natural hair? Like, I just took this weave out, but what about my natural hair? So then I went natural, and then eventually I ended up locking my hair. But prior to me locking my hair, I had so many people opposed to this, telling me, you may not look feminine anymore. Like, I heard that so much. Or, like, you're going to have to go through this ugly stage, and that might, you may not look like a lady anymore. Like, have you heard anything like, well, I'm just curious to see what the history is like from your standpoint, like women with the locks, like what was it like in Kenya what was that like? Did that have to take time getting used to, since the men having locks was already, being rebellious? What about when women start locking their hair, or did it not matter?
So we are in this question you're asking in the times before even we're talking about the Mau Mau rebellion at that moment.
Yeah.
So the men have gone to the forest and they have locks. But what I did not mention is the women went to the forest too.
Okay.
And they had locks.
Okay.
Because women are also in my tribe, if you want to know a married woman in the olden days, you see she's also shaved. So the wife also gets her hair shaved. And so when the women went into the forest also, that line was blurred. And so after colonization and now the modern time, women would get away with locks because of braiding. And so in Africa, women have never been seen masculine because they have locks. In fact, it's the other way around in the new age.
Really?
Yes. In between, it's weird because in between growing up at 15, 16, somebody with locks was known as a rebel because the cops will always arrest you if you have locks in Africa. That was the case.
Really?
You will get arrested because you're seen remember the militia, you're seen as the Mau Mau, you're seen as the bad guys. And remember colonization, when the Mau Mau were fighting for independence for Kenya, they were labeled terrorists. And so that mindset has been put into everybody who wants to be Western, that anybody who has dreadlocks is terror.
Yeah.
And so when the new police come in, they see everybody with dreadlocks with terror. But the women, they don't get to go through that because you have braids, you have all these other flamboyant styles.
I see that then.
You can't really tell a woman. And then after now as we become more Western, then we've become more gender blurred. Let me use that word. And so with that gender blurring, a man having hair, I've had more problems as a man having hair than I've ever met a woman who's had problems with her femininity with locks, in relationship with locks. My masculinity is put into question because I have long hair.
You're right.
As opposed to any woman who I've ever met with locks. And was seen as masculine. I've never even met a woman who said somebody told me I look masculine because of my locks. Like I'm like, I saw that on Instagram. I was like, what?
Yeah.
It's just new to me. But for me, I receive it all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember having my hair really short, and a guy I went to school with, he's like, "You're growing your hair out? Like you're locking your hair out?" And before that, I was known for the wrap. Like just straight. I always wore my hair relaxed and wore the wrap. If you know, you know. And I remember just hearing like, I don't know. I don't think you should lock your hair. I don't really like girls with locks. I was like, dude, I'm not dating you. I ain't your baby anyway.
Why should you care?
And I'm not doing this for you.
Exactly.
It was just for me. And at the time, and I always tell people, this is the best decision that I've made with my hair. Like I just feel more confident. And I had to grow into that. I remember, when they were really short and I would be about to like go out and my brother, we all had a house together, me and two of my brothers at the time. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, bro, I just feel like I'm not ready. Like, just nothing I could do with my hair. And they would just pour into me so much. My two brothers, shout out to Andre and Debo. But they would be like, man, sis, you good, man. Your face good. It's all right, man. And they would just pour into me so much like, you good, sis. Like, soon your hair can grow out. Everybody gonna be locking their hair up. And I'm telling you, not everybody, locking their hair up, and I'm already flourishing. So thank God for that, So I always mention that, but that's interesting to hear you say that. And you are right. Like the women, I can see you saying like with the women, that's nothing, but it was the opposite. If like a guy has hair, then it's
You're
like
gay.
Yeah. And I have a good friend. When I first met them, they had hair, and then they went to a phase where they had cut their hair, and now they have locks again. But they cut their hair, they said, because their grandfather was giving them like, men don't have hair, But that's so crazy. I'm glad we got past that, as a community and as a people, right?
Yeah.
I want to ask you about your pivot and your move to Dubai. Like what even made you say, okay, I'm going to leave where I am, where I'm comfortable at, what I know, and go to this foreign place and try to make a living for myself. I'm curious to know what your mindset was like before you even made that decision. And did you go straight to Dubai from Kenya or somewhere else? Tell me about that transition period, please.
So you have to understand something from the African mindset. We don't travel.
No?
Until now, I see Africans travel. We don't travel.
So back then,
it's not something that you even look forward to. Because it's not in your culture to travel. Like my daughter, I don't think she knows people don't travel. Because when I tell her we are leaving, she doesn't even get dressed. She just, okay, I need my doll. Because are we taking an aeroplane? That's the first question she asks. Are we taking an aeroplane or driving? That's how she. And so coming from that perspective, understand that every African person that you know that does not have money, that is hustling, that isn't comfortable living in Africa, does not want to be in Africa. Africa is for rich people. If you're rich in Africa, you're very happy and you're a king. You're a king in Africa. But if you're not, you're suffering. And so everybody growing up, and I'm saying this because I know Americans, especially African Americans, because those are the people that I interact with, want to leave America. And I tell people, visit Africa before you leave America, because you might be thinking wrong. Because I ask, what are you going to do when you get to Africa? Do you have enough money to sustain you for the rest of your life? Because you can't survive in Africa. You can't work in Africa. You won't be able to compete with Africa. I'm just being honest. Unless you're bringing an investment. Why? Because you have racism here. We have tribalism there. We have who you know. So it's not just a problem of, okay, they didn't hire me because I was black. No, they didn't hire you because you're broke. Because you have to pay to get hired. It's a different dynamics. And anyway, and the security, and it's just, I said, just visit and understand. But that idea of, I want to go outside of Africa so I can succeed, is a very big African mindset. And it takes an African to get out of Africa like I have, come outside to realize, oh, I actually need to be in Africa. Like I'm thinking, I should be in Kenya. What am I doing? Like I have more opportunities in Kenya than I have. True story.
Really?
People think I have opportunities in America because I'm in America right now. No, my opportunities are in Africa more than I have here. In fact, I'm setting a bouncing place because America is very visible.
Right.
And so if everybody can see me from here, I can bounce off to where I need to be faster than walking there. Does it make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
And so going to Dubai wasn't something that I was looking forward to or dreamt about.
Yeah.
I was in working, and I was in college doing fine arts. Like you said, I've lived many lives.
Yes, you
till
have.
now. So I was doing fine arts in uni. And I was doubled with a biblical degree in another uni, in another city. And there was there was a civil war.
Okay.
Where every time we have elections, like I was here last year when the election was happening, and I was like, why am I in America when election is happening? Because in my mind, election is always about violence. And so I'm in America. There's election going on. Am I going to be safe?
Right.
Because in my mind, every time I've had elections in my country, there's been violence.
Wow.
And it's been my tribe that has been dying. You understand? The same way you would say that it's mostly primarily black people that suffer the most in America. In Kenya, the people who get attacked the most by other tribes is my tribe, because one, we are the majority, but we are the loudest. And so going to Dubai wasn't something that I was thinking about.
Right.
But my sister was working there.
She was already there
And
working.
so when I couldn't afford to pay my school fees anymore, when I didn't have a job because there's civil war, I'm a fitness guy. People don't go to the gym when they're not going to work.
Yeah.
But during COVID, nobody was working in the gym. It wasn't, the gym instructors were not making any money.
Right.
Unless you're doing, Zoom classes. So I didn't have anything to do. And I still remember staying 2 weeks with one loaf of bread. I ate one loaf of bread for 2 weeks because I couldn't go anywhere because it was that bad.
Wow.
And so when my sister said, hey, come here, look for a job. I said, okay. And so people ask me, why Dubai? I say, it must be the money. That's the simple answer I give. Must be the money. But it wasn't the money. I didn't have any other alternative. I didn't choose Dubai. I didn't have any other choice. So you
Yeah.
can't say you chose if it was the only thing that you had.
Right.
Either I stay home or go there.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Let's go work somewhere else, because now, before everything comes down, the violence ends in the country and the new president and everything
Right.
is back and we get back to work. It's an entire year. I have people to feed. What am I supposed to do?
Right. So you're in Dubai, and I'm just curious to know, like, how was that? You know, like, how was it getting to this foreign place, applying for work, just finding your way? You look different, you know, just tell me what that was like. Were you culturally shocked? You know, tell me about that. And
That's
Dubai's
an
a rich
entire
country. Yeah.
podcast.
Oh yeah, that alone.
That's an entire podcast.
Well, in a
Just me
nutshell.
entering.
Really?
In a nutshell, entering Dubai was first culture shock.
Okay.
The first culture shock is Indians in Kenya do not work. Because again, during colonizations, Indians were used as supervisors to manage black people. And so the railway is what created cities in most African places, in Kenya particularly. And so where they stopped to hinge, let's say supplies come, stop here, they made cities. So our cities are made by the railway. And the people who made those stops were who? The Indians. So who made the shops in those stops?
Right.
Were the Indians. So the Indians are very rich in East Africa, way rich, because they came in way early. And it's like the white people that came in America way early. They're very rich because they had time to get the gold and everything that was there in terms of the gold rush. And so my first culture shock was seeing Indians working. I never saw that.
Really?
Never seen an Indian man, forget a white man,
Yeah.
an Indian man
Wow,
working.
that's interesting.
So it wasn't even white people working. The other culture shock is finding white people working and getting the same salary as a person, a black person. It's like, okay, wait.
Yeah.
So for us, the superiority, because racism isn't something that we face in Africa, because we don't have white people in Africa.
Right, right.
We face tribalism and nepotism. Your brother, you're only giving a job to your brother, or you're only somebody who speaks the same language as you.
Oh, I see.
And that's sad, because I have to ask you your second name to know how to treat you. Which is weird, because you say, hi, good morning, what's your name? You say your second name, you don't get the job. Just because your name isn't the same. It's not color. So that's why I say, when African Americans travel outside of Africa, outside of America, they realize, whoa, people have problems more than racism.
Yeah.
Like, yo, how do you fight somebody who looks like you, speaks the same language, until you tell them your second name? And it's one of the reasons why I'm very articulate in English. People don't know where I'm from, because I had to hide it so that nobody knows which culture I'm from, so I can be able to navigate properly.
Yeah.
And so that was the first culture shock, was Indians. The other thing that when I got to Dubai is to realize that Africans are not respected. I was working in fitness. I was already a manager, but I couldn't even land a management job. I couldn't even, my certifications of Africa are not regarded.
Really?
Yes, and that's something people don't talk about. Dubai as a country is the best country I've ever been to, and I have well traveled. I have well traveled, and I'm still going to travel some more.
Right.
It's the best country I've ever been to. Racism is in public. If somebody stops you because of race or your color directly or something, they get deported or fired.
Oh.
Because remember, it's you're not allowed to look at people based on their. It's a very strict country.
I hear that.
However, there is underground racism that nobody talks about. It's not really racism, it's classism. The reason why I said classism because it doesn't matter if you're black. I'll give you an example. If you're a teacher and you're white from the UK, there's a salary that you get. Let's say $8,000. I'm giving you an example. Then you're a teacher from America, white, you get the same salary. If you're a black teacher from America, but because you have an American passport, you get $6,000. If you're a black teacher from South Africa, you get $4,000. If you're a white person from South Africa, you get $6,000. If you're a black teacher working in the same job, the same classroom, if you're from Africa, you're getting $2,000. And you cannot do anything because, okay, I'm coming from not having money. I need to take what I need. So for me, my problem was I couldn't get a fitness job because I was skinny. The Western world has a culture of you have to look buff. You see what's happening on internet. You have to look buff to be seen as a fitness guy. I'm a skinny guy by default, by genetics.
Right.
And now you're broke. which means you can't even afford to eat food.
Right.
I've gone back into being very skinny. So I couldn't get a fitness job per se. And my paperwork wasn't strong because I'm not from the UK. I'm not from America. My paperwork is from Africa. Your indication is nothing. Nobody ever, sees it. So it was very difficult for me to get a job. And I had a poor man's arrogance. That's what we call it in my language. Mudheni mwetei means a poor man that is very, very prideful and arrogant.
Okay.
What do I mean with that? I refuse to take all other jobs because they're stereotypes jobs.
Right.
Like in this country also, they're stereotype jobs.
Right.
Mexicans do this, it's the Chinese that do, the shops, the Uber, the taxi drivers is an Indian. You know what I mean? They're stereotypes jobs.
I got
So
you.
the stereotype job for Africans outside of Africa is all the low-level jobs. You're on the bottom of the food chain.
Okay, I see.
So you either work security, either work hospitality, housekeeping, or waiting. There were 3 jobs. Or you're either a lifeguard at the beach. You're spending all that time in the sun. I didn't want to do any of that. I loved fitness. I knew God had brought me to Dubai and He's gonna protect me. I was holding Him accountable. And when I refused, I said, if there is faith, I'm gonna hold you accountable, and I refuse to take any other job. I suffered.
I love to hear that, though.
I suffered because of that. I call that foolish faith.
Yeah.
It's not smart. Because what I was supposed to do is let me hinge on to something
Yeah.
while I'm looking for what I have. Because I went through 3 years of not having a job. Miserable 3 years, which I could have gotten something. Now when I think about it, if I knew, I would have taken a job, then now work my paperwork.
Yeah.
Because now I can study in Dubai to get into the fitness sooner. My journey would have been faster and easier. But I would have missed out on being Kris McDred. Because it was in that moment when I'm in Dubai looking for a job that I started doing hair.
I love that. And we're going to get into that, see? So I was going to say, some people say beggars can't be choosers, so you just got to take what you can get, use it as a stepping stone. So I love to hear you say that. But I also love to hear you, just have the faith and like, listen, Lord, this is why you brought me here. So you just got to collide faith and wisdom. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you said beggars can't be choosers, because when you have faith, you're a child of a king. So you get to choose.
So you're not a beggar.
You're not a beggar.
Amen.
You get to choose. My problem was I wasn't smart enough to know that you need wisdom to know where to apply the faith.
Yeah.
Because faith could be, this lion isn't gonna eat me. That's not smart. That's foolish faith. You see the lion? Wisdom is run.
Yeah. Love it.
You get it? And knowing that God will give you the speed. Foolishness would I'm just going to sit here and the lion will not see me.
For sure.
So that's what I was doing. I'm just going to stay on fitness. And I'm like, no, figure out something else to do. And then when you're there, then now continue with the journey that you want to project yourself into.
I love it. So I want to go into something, just you getting into this hair journey, because you said that's where you started doing this, and then you really enter into the hair world. So I just want to ask you about your journey into that. Like, how was it when you first started in the hair world? Because you were in Dubai doing locks and hair, right? We didn't even know people over there wearing locks and stuff. So I just want to hear about it, and then I want you to piggyback and lean into how I heard you say, like, in entrepreneurship and in business, that you have to learn how to be fluid, So I want you to also just talk about your journey. Number one, finding your lane in this lock space, especially in Dubai, this country, but then learning how to be fluid and make it work for you. Can you emphasize on that, please?
So the first one is how I got into the hair business.
How'd you get into hair in Dubai, and what was that like? Was it a struggle at first?
It wasn't a struggle
because it's rare.
It wasn't a struggle because I didn't start doing hair for money. In my life, there is nothing I've ever started doing for money. I am so blessed and privileged that I have never in my life woken up in the morning and decided, you know what, I could make money. Selling seats. And it's true, I could. And then start selling seats. It's always something that I'm already doing. And I'm doing it for free. Yeah. And then I start getting paid. I was already in fitness. I loved swimming. And then I got hired as a lifeguard. I loved exercise from a small child. Then I got hired as a fitness. So I was helping my sister do her hair because there was no one to do hair in Dubai. There was only one salon, African salon. Only one African salon in the entire... And Dubai is a state. The country is called UAE, United Arab Emirates, with 8 different states. And none of them had African silence.
Except
because
one.
The populations of the Dubai, if you look at the black population, and when I say black population, I mean all black people in Dubai, regardless of what country they went to, fall under the place we call others. We are a lot, but we are not enough to be. It's a small percentage.
For sure.
And so there was no, now it's a big percent. Now there's so many salons. Back then there was no salon. Now there's so many people doing locks. And there was no one doing locks. Even where my sister was going was braiders. And so I would palm roll her hair, just basic palm rolling her hair. And I would do her updos. And because I'm artistic and I'm very good in my hands, my sister would show me a picture of a style, and I would do the exact same style and updo. And she would love it. And because anyway, she doesn't have a choice.
Right.
If she doesn't get it done by me, she has to wait until she gets a flight. She was working as a flight attendant until she gets a flight to go to Kenya to get her hair done.
Okay.
So she had no option. And for me, I had a good ground to do whatever it is that I wanted. I'm not getting paid for it. I'm not thinking about becoming a professional. There's no pressure. And then my wife, who was my girlfriend at that time, decided she wanted to have locks.
Okay.
And so when she was going through that entire ugly stage, I was with her, helping her. I have used everything possible in that time frame, in that era that was for locks. To try and get her hair to skip from the starter locks phase to mature locks. And I didn't make it. It was difficult for my wife's hair to lock. It took a year for her hair to lock. And I had to palm roll and do that. And because I was still looking for a job back then, so every 3 months or 2 months I would go back home. So I would do her hair.
Okay.
Every 2 or 3 months I would go back home, I would do her hair, and I would do my sister's hair whenever I'm in Dubai. And one day I was in this house. We used to live, because we don't have money to afford a big housing. So we used to live 8 people in a very small space with bunker beds. There's nowhere even to walk. Like the only space in between the bunker beds is to walk to your bunker bed. So you have 8 beds, 8 people living in this cramped 4 beds. And this lady who had an interview, I still remember, and she had braids on her starter locks. And she said, it was a fashion interview. I said, if you go to an interview like that, you're not going to get a job. Your braids are old. You've been looking for a job for 3 months. Your braids you came with them fresh. They're not fresh. Remove them because you have starter locks. I'm going to retwist them for you. Then you'll look styler because it's a fashion job. You want to wear jeans for this interview.
Right.
And so she said, okay. So she removed we cut the braids, combed them out, washed her hair, and I retwisted her hair. And she complained that she didn't like it. I still remember.
Yes.
But I'm not getting paid, and I'm just trying to help you anyway. But she went out to get tomatoes. I still remember. We had lentil soup. To make lentil soup to eat with rice in the freezer, because it was my lentil. I still remember. I'd gotten it from my sister's house. And somebody asked her, who did your hair? And she said, guy called Kris. And she gave him my number. And the guy called me and said, can you do my hair? I said, I don't do hair. He said, please, can you do my hair? I said, no, because it's for free. Why are you wasting my time? And I'd come from an interview and they didn't give me a job. So I was very frustrated. I didn't, you're bothering me right now. I'm in depression. I worked a job for 2 weeks. They didn't pay me and they didn't give me a visa. Now I'm back to looking for a job. So I said, no. Then they said, I'll pay you. I said, how much? And he told me the price at that time, what he was paying, whoever was doing his hair, was 50 dirhams, which is equivalent to about $15, give or take. I was broke. Right. So I said, gotcha. Okay, on one condition, you pay me before we start. Because if you don't like what I do, I still get to keep the money. He said, yes, if I don't like what you do, if you do exactly what you did on her hair, I'm happy. Did his hair. From there, story ended.
That's just how it started.
Now people are like, yo, Kris, can you do my hair? And then I'm like, okay, now I have to figure out how to do hair because I don't know how to do hair. I'm making money. Yes. People are asking me.
And when was this? Like, what went?
This is 2008.
2008. Okay. Yes. So you finally, you got your client, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And how was business at first? Like after that one,
It wasn't business. Remember, I'm not even looking to start a business.
Oh, right.
Because I'm still looking for a job.
Right.
Because the African mindset is you must be employed.
So
You cannot run a business. I never knew that you could run your own business. Even though I've seen my mother run a business, it hadn't clicked in my head that I'm in a different country because I came to this country to look for a job.
Right.
So I'm going to stick to the plan. While I stick to the plan, I got something that is giving me extra cash. I'm okay with it. I'm going to continue making it whenever it comes. I don't need to advertise myself or whatever.
Right.
In fact, I made Facebook because of hair.
Yeah.
I wasn't even in social media. 2009, I made Facebook because somebody said, you could advertise in Facebook. I said, Then I made Facebook and I was like, okay, talking to people. Okay, let me make a Facebook for this job and see. And so it went on. And I remember I'm telling you, I was the only person doing hair. So I don't have a problem finding clients. I don't have a problem looking. If it's broke, I'm still broke, whether I'm doing hair or not, because I'm still looking for a job.
Right.
When I got the job, I was already making so much money, I didn't even need the job. I was contemplating not taking the job. But that particular month, I remember, was August. It's the hottest month. It was July. It was the hottest month in summer. And it was in 2010. And people travel outside Dubai. And so my customers have gone home. And there are no new visitors don't come in because it's not a high, it's not a tourist season. So my money went out. And I was like, I'm used to making about $2,000, which is good for me. Like, because if I get a job, I'm getting a job that is paying me nothing more than $1,000 because I'm from Africa. Remember what I told you about? So I know. So if I'm making $2,000 here, and they're gonna pay me $1,000 here, I might as well figure out how I can make this $2,000 work. And so I took the job because I didn't make money that month. And when I was doing the job, I was still doing hair. In fact, I was away in another state doing hair. 2 different states. Like, you have to jump 2 different states from Dubai to find me. You have to drive 2 hours to find me. People would take public transportation to come find me. And so that's how I build up. And now I have a job, so I don't need clients.
Right.
So I've never been in a place to be desperate for clientele because I'm like, I have money now. I have a job. So whoever comes. And remember, I don't have competition. Who are you going to go to if I don't do your hair?
Right.
And I'm improving myself. So now I'm really good at doing hair by 2010.
And I was going to ask you about your improvement process.
Yes.
Like, you started on your sister, you started on your wife, and then they send you a client and you was like, listen, I don't even do hair, but okay, I'll take you. As long as you like hers, I need my money up front. You know what I mean? Which I respect. But I'm curious to know, like, when did your confidence come in this lane? Like, when did you start being like, you know what? I am that dude. You should get your hair done by me. Like, when did that come?
That didn't come.
No way.
That didn't come until I got into Instagram, which was 2018.
No.
And it's not to say I didn't have confidence.
Right.
I never thought of myself as that guy.
Really?
Never. Because when I was doing hair, I'd never benchmarked myself.
Okay.
To see who else is doing hair and how good am I. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm just doing bare minimum. But when I started to learn how to do hair, I went to the internet to do research. I went to YouTube University. There were only
YouTube
2
University.
people that were teaching on locks. And they were just talking while they're doing hair. So you have to get your nuggets in between. And I still remember because one of those people taught me how to do interlocking, and I feel sad every time I think about him because he still uses the same method he was using back then. And I'm like, bro.
And things have changed?
Yeah, it's been 15 years. He still uses, I'm like, okay. So when I saw that and realized there's no one teaching, I saw the need, first of all, for education. And I realized that this field hasn't been researched enough.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, everything that I have to come up with, it has to be me. Because nobody is going to teach me. And so I built up all the systems that I use that I teach now. Then to say this will be my blueprint on how I'll be doing hair. And then so I continued doing it. 2014, when I uploaded a video on YouTube, thinking that everybody does what I do.
Right.
Okay, because I'm like, okay, it has to be. It can't be just me who's doing this.
Yeah, man.
You know? So I was crocheting. I'm like, it can't be just me who's this good at whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
I posted, and I couldn't find any video that was 100%. I can go to the internet, find a video of somebody crocheting just as good as I'm crocheting before my video. I am the first person to put crocheting, white or black, on the internet.
Yeah.
You know? When I put the video out, it went viral. That time there was no viral or anything.
Right.
People were like, yo, you could get paid by YouTube. Nah, I didn't even get into YouTube until I was about 4 million views into that video.
Wow. That's crazy.
I didn't because monetization. I got into monetization from that.
Right.
And then now from there, then I realized, I got something.
Something special.
Okay. But it never occurred to me that I could monetize it in terms of teaching. People are like, teach. But I was like, remember, I'm the faith guy. I'm coming from Bible school. I'm like, God gave me this skill when I was poor. I wanted to be a blessing to other people.
Right.
So everything that I knew, I put it out on Instagram. I posted everything that I teach now. I have taught for free on YouTube. The reason why I pulled them down is because I realized people don't give me credit for taking my work. Somebody is going to take and say, I'm self-taught.
Yeah.
You don't tell people. People talk about gatekeeping, but gatekeeping is you knowing that I'm good in locks, but not telling people to come to my shop.
Right.
Or
so who the real gatekeeper?
how did you learn how to do locks? Oh, I just self-taught myself. That's what gatekeeping is.
Yeah, man.
But for me, I built this system. Me gatekeeping is not me gatekeeping. It's me protecting my interest because I built it. I am the gate that people are keeping.
I love it.
You get that?
Yes, I do.
And so that's when I saw and I'm like, okay, I see, but I'm still giving for free. When I realized that, I started pulling out a lot of it. In 2018, when I came to Instagram and realized it's about show business. It's about showing who's the best. It's about beating your chest.
Yeah.
Check out, what I've done. I'm the best. It's about lighting and it's about flash. That's when we started using edge control as a retwist gel because everybody wanted to squeaky clean.
Right.
And I was like, oh, it's about show business. Okay. Okay, let me remind people who I am.
Yeah.
So that's when the confidence and the cockiness, like, yo, I'm Kris McDred. I'm the best in this business.
Yeah.
Nobody else does hair the way I do it.
Yeah.
People are like, yo, who's this guy who's so arrogant? I was like, I know this is how I'm going to get my attention. And it did exactly what I wanted. I call it the Kanye principle. You shout, people look at you. I did that and people looked at me. And
love it.
It worked out very well.
And it's been working for you since. I love that for you, because you just talk about like 2018, it was that Instagram time. And then 2 years after that, the pandemic hit. But you still been thriving, I think I'll probably come and counter with you like through the pandemic. And I've been following you since, though. I'm obsessed with these locks, bruh. I'm obsessed with them. They're beautiful. They look so healthy. That's what got me.
I never wanted to have locks.
And so I'm curious to know just, and then, I want to hear about your lock journey, how you got in it. What made you, did yours start out thick like this or did you crochet them to that look? And then I just want to talk about, your Lock Healers tribe and how you have this community of people up under you. And I have to mention this, y'all. Kris, I mentioned this. Shout out to our sponsor, the Renewed Canvas Beauty Bar. He went to the grand opening of that event. That's where we actually initially met. And the loctician who did my hair and who opened the salon is under his tribe. And she told me, Kris, the guy whose tribe I'm under, he's supposed to come through here. And I was like, that's what's up. She's like, that's a big deal for me. He lives in Kenya. He goes back and forth from Dubai. He is on tour right now teaching a lot of classes. But, he said he's going to make it his business to come by here. And I seen how you come by. You showed everyone love. You knew her by name, and a lot of the people in your tribe by name, you show up for them. I see that, that's important, because you are such a big name in this industry, you have so many students, but to show up for them still and be intimate enough, that was special. I was like, you know what? I recommend any loctician to get under this tribe because you're learning, you're educating. And I just was telling you yesterday, Nia had another lady from Florida in her salon, who somebody booked her and she needed somebody, like a place to do hair. And they come together. Nia was showing her something at a moment. They're working together. There's no competition. So I just want to hear it from you, the person who is the brains behind this tribe. What was it for you to create this space for this tribe, for these people to educate them? I just want to hear about it from you, what it meant for you to start that community and just, your lock journey personally, locking your hair. I want to hear about it all. I don't know, I just threw it all out there at once, but I just want to hear about it all. Yeah.
So the Lock Healers tribe
yeah.
is a dream I had of bringing locticians together. And the reason for this is because every professional setup has their own, like, fellow. They call it fellow or sorority.
Right.
Every professional, the lawyers have their own lawyers, the architects, but the locticians, as the people, the beauty industry, there is no facets where we can help each other grow in terms of networking. And so I wanted to build a network of locticians where if you're here now, you said Naya from Renewed Canvas, call her Kushite Locks. That's what I call her, Kushite Locks. So if Kushite Locks is doing your hair and you have a show to host in LA and you need your hair done, where will you go? You don't need to look for it. You just ask Kushite Lock who, and you can trust that person because they have the same integrity. Yeah. They have the same trainer, and these are people. This is a group of people that have decided to operate with the same mindset and not to compromise. And we put the clients' needs and clients to be comfortable. We're interested. We call ourselves lock healers because that's what we are doing. The whole idea is not just to redo locks or retwist locks, but actually to understand why is your hair behaving the way it's behaving, good or bad, and how can I be of help? Because there's no one who's really a healer. We are just pointers. You're your own healing. I'm my own healer. You're your own healer. So the doctor's responsibility is to point me. Hey, you're not sleeping well enough. That's why you're feeling this way. Then I fix myself so as lock healers, our job is to, heal locks by going deeper into, okay, what is happening here and how can I help this person? That's what we do as lock healers as a tribe. And as a tribe, we look after each other. And we ensure that if you're in this tribe, you will have clients. Because if I have, for example, I have on my website and on my Instagram, there's a loctician finder. Once you become a lock healer, whether you have completed your exams or not, you go immediately into my website and you get time to be able to so you can start picking up clients and you get time to complete your assessments to stay there. Yeah. If you don't complete in that time frame, you get removed because you're not walking with our speed. Because I'm looking for a tribe that we are warriors that fight the same way and move with the same speed. If you're lazy, no.
You're going to get left behind.
Yes, if you don't have the same integrity and respect, as simple as respect. I'm looking at your reels and I'm seeing your choices of music. I'm seeing how you're dressed. I'm like, yo, we're a tribe. We're trying to raise to a place where now we can literally start look at each other's children where, hey, Naya is having a client that is going to take 3 days. She's going to call another student, let's say Rachel. Rachel, come work with me. Bring your kids. They can stay with my kids and let's work together. That's my mindset. Where now we are a community. We are a village, and we're not just doing hair together and helping each other make money. We're doing life together. That was the original and still is the original plan of Lock Healers Tribe. As Kris McDred, I have an academy called the Kris McDred Academy. Then under that, there's Kris McDred Locks Academy.
Okay, I see.
Because I will branch out. The visions of Kris McDred Locks Academy is two. One is to teach locticians how to be better locticians. And two is to share. And when I say share, I mean share resources. So we share clientele. Yeah. So like I said, refer, and you can tell somebody, you're in Florida, go to this person. Yeah. We share my platform. Well, I invite them to to collaborate with me so they can get a bigger audience. My audience is my tribe's audience. It's not my audience only. It now belongs to my tribe.
Yeah.
So anybody who wants to access, all they need to do is to make a video based on the standards that we agreed on, and then we collaborate.
Yeah.
We share resources, and then we build a community. Those are the 3 visions of Kris McDred Academy: is to teach, to share, and to community.
And he is true to this, not new to this. One of the young ladies at the grand opening, she said that she even came to the grand opening, like how she even met Nia was because you reposted something, and she's like, oh, she's in Atlanta? I'm in Atlanta. And that's how she even come across Nia and knew about the grand opening. So, that's a blessing to have, a tribe leader who supports his people, you know what I mean? Sharing their stuff, sharing the same platform where it really is community, not competition, where we can collab over here
we're
and
collaborating,
not compete,
Yes.
That's such a blessing.
Yes.
Again,
my hair. So when I went to Dubai, remember I'm still in the African mindset.
Yes.
We say you can take a villager from the village, but you can't remove the village from them.
Right.
And so the village in me says you need to, now especially now you're in the Western world, you're trying to get employment. The African mindset is if you want to get employment, you have to look corporate.
Right.
So I've shaved my hair, but now I'm doing locks. I got a job. I have an afro, because remember I told you my afro, long hair was still, so I have an afro. I love it. So I had a client who had a really nice physique. And he was working in security. I said, you'd make a good fitness instructor. Because I used to teach fitness instructors how to become better fitness instructors. Or even just anybody. I've picked people from housekeeping and made them great fitness instructors.
Okay.
Killer fitness instructors. Even what I do in the locking industry, I've done it before. It's not my first rodeo. I've done it successfully. Worked for somebody, made him $8 million every single year. Successfully running 300 employees. I took his paperwork and everything and gave a word to my boss. But that time we had another general manager. I wasn't the regional manager. And so we hired the guy. But the reason why I got him hired is because I wanted to see how their perception will be with locks, so that I can see, since I'm in management, if I can have them. Okay. And so once everybody was okay with it, I was like, okay. And we were coming...
Smart guy.
Yeah, so thank you. So we were coming from holiday with my wife. It was very interesting because we had come from a honeymoon. And she said, lock your hair. I said, no. I don't want to not grow in the corporate world. I'm doing very well in the corporate world. I got a promotion last December. It's April. I know I'm going to get a promotion before the end of this year. Yes. I'm doing hair on the side.
You're still planning on growing in the corporate world.
Because I never thought of doing hair, remember?
Right.
And I'm not looking for a business now because I want to start my own gym.
For sure.
I want to run this. I want to run with it. I've seen my chain of health clubs all over the world. Okay. I have done the business model. I still have it. I'm still going to do it. Yeah. Because like you said, we never really branch out. Right. I have the business model ready. It's just waiting for me to have a good amount of money to pump into it. And I have everything. And so that was a trajectory I was taking. I wasn't thinking of coming into locks. And so my wife said, start your locks. And so before going to work after the honeymoon, I crocheted my hair. And I said, okay, let me just crochet it because I have time. And when I want to cut it, I'll cut it. People loved it.
They were loving it.
People loved my hair.
Did you crochet them thick right away?
Yet. It was thinner. They were thicker, but they were not as thick as they are now. They were stunk. They looked like 5 locks. But people loved them. They were spaced out. I didn't care because I was going to cut it anyway. You know what I mean? So I wasn't, I wasn't those people. And I didn't have the insecurities of, I'm not my hair. Even till now, I say I'm not my hair. If I cut my hair, I'm still, my confidence and, will still remain high. I know who I am. I'm comfortable in my own skin. Customers started to come in, new customers when they meet you and be like, I knew you had locks, and I knew if you have locks, I can trust you with my locks. That sold me. So now I knew if I'm going to grow this business, I need to keep this hair because people are responding to me better when I have this hair on. Wow. And so I was sold to having locks. But the corporate world now, now the corporate doesn't have a problem, but also I'm keeping it because I'm seeing the potential of
and your own
is bringing in money. So it's not just for me to look cute or to feel cute.
Right.
It's my money magnet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, as long as it's my money magnet,
it's marketing.
I'm
low-key,
keeping it.
Right.
Yes, it was marketing. It
Walking
worked very well.
marketing.
Walking marketing. It worked very well. And I'm happy that it worked that way. And until now, so it was my wife that inspired me. It wasn't in my desire to have locks at all. I'm very honest about that. I don't tell people, oh, my tribe has locks. Like I was telling you, that's why I have locks.
Yeah.
They're spiritual. They have this strong. I gave them meaning after I had them. And I talk about that. There's a book that I'm writing and I talk about meaning. What do your locks really mean to you? And are you being honest with yourself about that meaning? If it's fashion, call them fashion.
Yeah.
I'm wear them for a style. Like I told you, I used to wear mine just for a clientele. You get it? And then now I wear it as a symbol of my resistance to change in terms of westernization. I'm an African man and I'm going to look like it. And it's also an honor. I'm honoring my ancestors for all the pain that they went through so that I could global trot that I'm trotting. And I owe it to them.
Yes.
I owe it to them to keep this hair. And I said, I'm going to keep this hair. I feel emotional when I think about it because my grandfather, my father's brothers were in the forest. My father was born in colonization. My father was born in slavery. I'm the first free man. I'm the first free man of my people. And I get to celebrate that with my hair looking free. How better, you know what I mean? Like my ancestors are happy for me.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so that's why beautiful. I have it. And I've never really thought about hair that much until I came to this now realization that we're talking about. The meaning behind it, I gave it later. I wanted to grow because I have a family to take care of. And my responsibility, and I tell people, if your job needs you to cut your hair, cut your hair.
Right.
Because you have bills to pay, unless you have another way to pay bills. Yeah, you can be like, I'm not conforming. It's okay. It's your choice to conform. Like I said, when the lion is there, you have a choice to run. And you figure out what I need to do best for my to stay on top of my game. And for me, that was it. Yeah.
I love that. That was nice. You're wise. I can listen to you speak all day.
Thank you.
I really, really can. So we're gonna wrap this up very soon, but I have a few more questions. Your tribe. First, we'll go there. Tell us, if a person were to join your tribe, what is the benefits to that? Because you've been everywhere. So I just want to hear about, the benefits to joining your tribe, why locticians and, why Master Loctician should be a part of your tribe. Okay, I want us to talk about that. And then I want us to talk about this tour that you're on. Like, where are you going to next? Like, where have you been? Where are you going to next? Like, how much loan you got? Are you tired? How are you staying? How are you taking care of yourself doing this? Because you're flying. Even when we met you coming in for the grand opening, you were literally flying out the very next day.
Next day. I flew in and flew out. Yeah.
Literally flew in and flew out. So just tell me about that. The Lock Healers Tribe, the benefits of being in it, and this tour. Where have you been? Where are you going? How are you taking care of yourself during this time also?
So how somebody can join the Lock Healers Tribe is, the Lock Healers Tribe, like I said, is a group of locticians that have the same mindset. And that mindset is first hinged on education. So first, before, we have to agree to be great human beings. Male, female, gay, straight, just human being. How are you treating the next human being next to you?
Yeah.
So we have to agree that we have intentionally purposed to be great human beings. No backbiting, no backslashing. We are not competing.
For sure.
We are complementing each other. We are collaborating with each other. Education is what brings us together. So when you become a student of Kris McDred, you automatically have joined the Lock Healers Tribe. Like now I'm in the middle of opening a online Lock Healers Tribe because there are people who are not hands-on training. I have pre-recorded classes and I do hands-on training.
Okay.
And so at the moment, the Lock Healers Tribe is on hands-on training. And so once you come to the hands-on training, you automatically become a member of the Lock Healers Tribe because in those 3 days, I tell you the philosophy and you get to decide if you want to stay. If you don't want to stay, like people will tell me, no, I don't want to be even associated with you. I just came to get the education. And I'm like, I'm happy for you. If this is where our road ends, I'm happy for you. You got what you wanted. Everybody goes their own way. But if you need any support, this tribe is there to support each other. The benefits of this being this tribe is, first of all, you get access. Not just to me, to the tribe, to these resources. Remember what I was saying about resource? So it's not just me, it's these resources. And you get access to the clients that I have, my audience.
Yeah.
The audience that I have, I'm not doing here at this moment in time. I may do here, I'm desperately looking forward to doing here. And not even for the money, for the education. Like I told you, the things that I do, I usually do them out of passion first. Like there's so many things that I want to do. People haven't seen me do here in a while, and I want to do those to bring that education. No, this is what you're supposed to do. Instead of just talking and doing reaction videos, actually being on this is what I mean when I say this. And yeah, so you get to be a part of a community that is growing, that will take care of you financially, emotionally, and we're just a big, big tribe, and we are growing. When it comes to my traveling, this is my 6th tour.
Wow.
Yeah, 6th year tour in the US. People don't know that because people don't see your failures. People only see your successes. I've been to, I think, 16 different states. I've taught in 16 different states in the US.
Listen, when you flew in, you were flying to New York the very next day. You've been to DC, I've seen.
Yes.
So you've been moving.
So I came in this tour. I came in New York because it's an easier flight. They don't have Atlanta direct flight from Dubai anymore.
Okay.
So they used to. So it's straight to New York, and also because I was starting teaching from New York, so I needed to drop my bags in New York.
Okay.
But Kushite Locks, Naya, who's a member of the Lock Healers tribe, was opening her salon. And I said, I'm going to come for your grand opening because I'm in the US. The only expense I need is my hotel and my ticket. I can do that for a member of the Lock Healers tribe. So I came to celebrate with her. In fact, I was supposed to be there early. The flight that we took, which was the flight that we could get in the morning, delayed.
Yeah.
For 3 hours. And then it so coincided that there was a hair show. And so we finished with Naya, and then we went. So it was I killed 2 birds with one stone.
Busy.
Went to the hair show. Then after that, next evening flew back to the next day flew back to New York to teach. I've been in New York, Baltimore, DC, North Carolina, Charlotte, yes, and Atlanta. Where else? Now I'm going to Jacksonville.
Hey, Florida, one time.
Yes, I've been to San Francisco, Houston, Dallas.
Moving.
I'm going to Las Vegas, LA.
Do you have a favorite city?
New York is my favorite city.
New York is your favorite?
I'm infatuated with New York.
Really?
Yeah.
What's up with that?
I'm a country boy. I grew up in Africa where, growing up, when I tell this story, it's unbelievable for somebody who grew up in America. I grew up in a place where we didn't see cars.
No car?
There was 3 public transportations. One that goes in the morning to the town. It was not a city yet. One that comes during midday, and one that comes, like 3 only. There were only 3 cars. No one had cars in my neighborhood.
That's why you like New York, because you're a country boy.
Because I'm a country boy.
I understand.
So I like the tall buildings. I like walking at night in New York.
Okay.
I like the chaos in New York. I can't live in New York if you ask me. I can have a city house to be staying when you visit, and your friends, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it's too busy for me. But
you love it there.
I could work in New York, but I can't live in New York. I love New York. I love the smell of food in the streets, the noise, people crossing, a bike crosses over, flower, what is that? A flower vendor next to trash. the contrast in New York is, if you meet rich, expensive people and poor people, it's all that, and there's a lot of culture in New York, and that's why I love New York. I just know. I don't know. I just have something. I'm infatuated with the city.
That's what's up.
Yes, but Dubai is the city that I love.
Dubai.
Kenya, Nairobi is my favorite city. It's my mother's city.
Okay, Nairobi. That's good to know. Is there anything, about your childhood that maybe you took for granted or didn't appreciate or just love about growing up in Kenya or just being in your childhood that now as an adult you're like, oh, thank God I did grow up the way I did, or thank God my mom was strict, or, whatever that may be. Is there anything like that? Because I have those moments all the time. I have so many moments as an adult. I'm like, Mom, thank you. Because I meet so many, you see all the craziness around you. So it makes you put things in perspective and appreciate those things more.
My thank God mostly was going to boarding school.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't until last year. Last year I've been going through healing and just self-understanding and self-realization and just spending time with myself and knowing me. And I remember my alchemy told me when I was in that spiritual place, and my alchemist said to me, your parents didn't take you to boarding school because they hated you. Because I felt like I was abandoned. And we were being beaten physically for every punishment. It was really brutal. It felt like juvie.
Wow.
It was really juvie. There's no day I remember not being beaten.
Really?
I can't remember a day. Like when I think about it, I can't remember a day I wasn't beaten. Like that day I don't have that memory. There has to be days I didn't get beaten, but they're not in my memory. My memory is in pain. But the thing that thank God that I went to boarding school for is because it made me the charismatic person I am, because you had to deal with lots of people. We had 1,500 students in the school, boarding school, who don't go home for 3 months. You only go home when you have break. You understand? And we were forced to speak English. English is my third language. We were forced Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is English day. Friday is Swahili day.
Okay.
And the weekend is off. Nobody's checking what you say. So Monday till Thursday, you cannot be seen speaking another language. You get beaten for speaking your tribal tongue.
Wow, that's interesting.
That's how the effects of colonizations are that intense. That even in school they wanted, but also remember it's two ways. There is I want you to be this, but also there is I want you to know English so well so that you can compete in the new world, so you can be able to get a job. So there's that love part. And then there's that we need to do better. Because we should encourage people to learn their tribal tongue as well as their
for sure.
as their new tongue. So for me, I'm so grateful I went to boarding school, because my tongue, my English, my eloquence. In fact, I lost my verbiage in Dubai, because you speak to different cultures and you have to have a very limited vocabulary to communicate. I want this. So you can't say touche. No, you can say okay. You know what I mean? You can't use deep words. And it watered that out. But growing up in boarding school, that is one of the best decisions my parents ever did for me. And I'm grateful that I actually went to boarding school.
That's what's up.
But I didn't know that growing up. I hated it. Until last year. I cried just thinking and said, thank you, God, that I went to boarding school.
That's very interesting.
And I apologized to my parents.
Really?
For judging them. You know?
And, parents, my mom said this parent thing don't come with no rule book. And we're only doing the best that we can. We're doing what we really think is best, for you at the time. So I'm pretty sure it made your parents feel grateful to hear, like, dang, he hated this, but to hear
he understands
return
it
thank
now.
you on the back end.
Yes.
That's a blessing. English, Swahili, and what else?
My first language was Swahili, because I agree outside of in Africa, you grow with your people.
Okay.
So I speak Kikuyu, so you grow with Kikuyu. So you speak Kikuyu, but I grew with Swahili people. Swahili it's a whole tribe on its own.
Really?
And yes, and it's spoken by it's the most spoken language in Africa. And so I grew with them, so I learned Swahili. Then I learned my mother tongue concurrently, because your mother speaks both languages with you, but the streets speak to you in Swahili. And then when I went to school now, boarding school, then I learned English. And then when I went to Dubai, I learned Arabic.
Oh, my Lord.
And Hindi or Urdu, because it's more or less the same. They divide it different based on if you're Indian or Pakistani, but Urdu. Those languages I can, Urdu and Arabic, I can communicate with. When I say communication I speak in a toddler's language.
Right.
Like I can ask for a taxi, I can ask for anything, but I can't have this conversation. It will sound like me going to Dubai, good. That's how I speak my Arabic. But you understand, I said I went to Dubai and it was good. Yeah. So I'm able to communicate in both Hindi Arabic. I lost one tribal language that I learned because there was no one in 20 years, 25 years. I didn't speak with anyone the language, so I lost an entire language.
Dang, that's crazy.
That I'd learned. Yeah.
Chris, thank you so much for this. This was amazing. I could keep talking to you. You're filled with wisdom. You're charismatic, like you said. You know your stuff. You're passionate. I really do appreciate this, time that you took out of the busy schedule. As we just mentioned, you're touring all over the world. Literally an international educator. I have one more question. Okay.
Thank you.
Actually, two. Okay. First, I was going to ask, what does the Master Loctician do to make sure that they stay up on their game?
A Master Loctician, the word loctician is abused. Because somebody who does palm rolling only is a loctician. Somebody who does interlocking only is a loctician.
Okay.
So what do you call the person who does all of them?
Right.
You understand?
Okay.
So a Master Loctician is somebody who anything that has to do with locks, they're able to understand it. You could be a master braider. That's all you do. You could be a master interlocker, retie. You're a master loctician on reties. Like you could be a doctor, but you're pediatric.
For sure.
You're a professor in
Okay.
You're still a doctor, but you don't know, heart surgery. But if you can do all that, for me, that's the master. And for me to call somebody a Kris McDred certified master loctician is to say that person has mastered what I do and they're better than me. Why? Because they know things that I don't know about hair, but they know things that I know about hair. So it makes them better than me.
Okay,
per se.
I get what you're saying.
You get me? So for me to call somebody a master, Kris McDred certified master loctician, it's a great honor for me to do that. How I keep myself up in education, and also I remember you had asked in energy, is my brain is a magnet for information. I do not listen to music when I'm driving.
Okay.
I do not listen to music when I'm chilling. I do not. That's a conversation for another day. I do not watch TV unless I'm distracting myself. Like usually when I'm eating, I can't hold my phone, but I don't want to eat and just...
Yeah.
I don't know, for some reason I cannot eat and just look at food. I don't know, I'm going to try it and see how it feels like. I'm always scrolling something. I want to see something while I eat. When I finish, that's the only time. So I fast from food. I fast from music. I fast from going out. I fast from public places. And I focus only on things that grow me as a person. And so I know if I grow as a person, then my business will grow by default. Sure. And the people that look up to me and the people that I service, the people that I serve, the Lock Healers tribe, the locticians under me, that I am actually their servant. They get to benefit from my growth from there. So I'm consistently learning, consistently seeking for new information, not just in the locking business, but also in the business itself, in the business world. Because tomorrow we won't just be lock healers. We'll be lock healers that have real estate. That run. We'll be lock healers that run food for, because hair is about nutrition. Yeah. A therapist for hair. It is, yeah. You know what I mean? So we're going to expand as a community into all those other things. I keep my energy by eating right. I have a very strict diet and also by exercising. So that's how I keep, and I have a very strong emotional community with my family. I talk to them as often as possible. And the Lock Healers tribe is very helpful because every city I go, I know somebody who's going to text me and be like, yo, what do you need from me? So it becomes easier. That's how I rest. When somebody, like now I'm going to Jacksonville and the lady you're talking about, her name is Kayla Jackson, came from, she's a master loctician in Fort Lauderdale. So
yep, that's her.
She was heading back and I was like, yo, I've got some things. I don't know if I should return them to Amazon or I should... Because I bought more things than I was supposed to when I was purchasing. And she was like, I'm heading towards home and I'll pass by Fort Lauderdale, Jacksonville. So I'm like, thank you. And she was like, you could have told me, I would have dropped you even. I was like, I wish I knew. So that's what I would have saved on transportation. And now she's taking those things. But that's what I mean to say is, it's easier for me to be in the US with the lock healer stripe because there are people taking care of me in every city, and it makes life easy for me. It makes super, and even teaching, because I'm not longer teaching alone. The lock healer stripe has master trainers, not just me. My dream is not to teach at all. I wanted last year to be the last year I teach. I'm hoping this year is the last year I teach, but I don't have enough teachers to teach in every location so that I don't need to go, because there's a need for education in the locking industry. I remember I started by saying there was no education when I started doing locks. We're still in the caveman stage of understanding locks and Afro hair, because no one has done research enough to understand black hair. White hair there is, that's why cosmetology school is 1,000 hours for only white people's hair. But there is no 100 hours for black people's hair because there's no enough research. So I'm like, there is so much for us to do. The industry is so big, we can all achieve it. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I know I keep saying I have one more question, but now I got
Ask
one more.
Ask all questions.
Okay.
I'm here for you.
So this is a special Juneteenth episode, okay? So we're going to talk about just what freedom means to you. Like, what does it mean, like, when you hear that, what does it mean to you to be free, to feel free? You know, Kris McDred, I want to hear that from you. And then I was going to ask, and then we'll go into that. What's next for Kris McDred? You know, what else do you see yourself doing beyond this capacity? So those are my last two questions.
Freedom.
Freedom. We here.
We're all slaves in different capacities.
Right.
We're all slaves to our own desires.
Yeah. You're
so
right.
if you have an addiction, you're a slave to that addiction. Tell yourself anything you want. But anything, how do you define an addiction? Because people think an addiction is crack, fentanyl, alcoholism. Addiction is anything you can go a day without. Anything you cannot go a day without, you're an addict to it. Phone people, I dare you to switch off your phone for 24 hours and see how your body will feel. If you want crack
withdrawal,
you'll be a cracker. You're a crack addict. And I say this, if you're not a business person on Instagram, like you don't depend on Instagram for money, you have no business spending 4 hours every day on Instagram. What do you have to show for it? Freedom is about freeing yourself from the things that stop you from being your best self. I am not being my best self for my daughter or my children. I am not being my best self for my mother or my wife. I am not being my best friend, myself for anybody on the planet, but I want to enjoy a complete human experience inside this skin. And with that comes the freedom of releasing myself from my own desires. Then freedom from releasing myself from the perceptions of society, what we perceive as a slavery. Because I am a slave to money, and until the day I don't need money, which I do, until the day I have enough money that I don't need more money, I am a slave to money. And all of us are the people who are completely free, are the people who are free from their personal desires and people who do not need. So freedom for me is that. And freedom for self-expression is you knowing that this is me. I have chosen to keep my beard like this, regardless of how people say. I will wear high heels, whether people call me gay or not. I know I'm straight, like Prince used to. That was a free man, for example.
That was a free man.
He didn't care what everybody thought. He had all the money he wanted. He didn't have any... You get what I mean?
Yes.
In my perception, I'm looking at somebody who's walking because they don't care what anybody else... A lot of people can't even show their white hair. A lot of celebrities. Because they're afraid of people's perception. I was happy to see DJ Khaled running with a guy on Instagram, and I was like, that guy understand. He doesn't care what people think about him, because okay, I probably need to lose weight, but I'm gonna do this challenge and I'm gonna love it. I enjoy seeing that because that's an expression of freedom.
What's next for Kris McDred beyond hair?
I
know
don't
you got
know.
acting on the list somewhere,
I
but
don't
anything
know.
you don't know.
I have dreams and aspirations. But I have learned to grip in the dark because I don't own the light. As long as I step, God orders my steps, and I step. My steps are ordered by God. And so I really don't, like I said, I've never really thought this is what, other than going to to become a lecturer. I never thought I was going to be a fitness instructor. I didn't know I was going to be a teacher or a loctician. So where I am, I can't tell you what I'm going to be next, because I have seen from the history of my life that all I need to do is to focus on myself, work on myself. And those things, like I was telling myself yesterday, I don't want you to learn a new skill that will give you money. You have enough skills inside of you, Kris, to make you enough money. Figure out how to make everything that you have make you money. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to explore my hobbies going forward as I continue doing what I'm doing now with the dream that I have now. And whatever comes in, I have opened myself up to allowing God, like when I was looking for a job, he gave me logs.
Yeah.
Allowing God to do whatever he wants in my life. And I'm giving myself permission to fail, but I've also given myself permission to work on myself and to succeed. So what's next to Kris McDred? We just have to wait and see.
Amen.
I'm excited to see
but
that.
you're excited still
I'm
what God
excited
got for
to
you.
see what God... I don't know about you, but I will say this facing the camera. I'm living the best life I could ever dream of. I don't know about you, and I wish this for everybody. That the feeling I wake up with today morning, I really wish everybody could wake up feeling the way I feel. I don't have all the money I want. I don't have the health that I want. But the attitude of gratitude, just waking up in the morning to say, thank God. I don't even wake up to say, God, help me get a job. I don't ask for things. Anybody waking up to ask you for things, you don't like them. I wake up to tell God how awesome he is. You like people who tell you how beautiful you are. So I wake up and I'm like, thank God that you're awesome, God. Thank God I can breathe. I appreciate you, you know. I never even ask God for anything. I say, you will provide. Because my daughter just says, I want this. And that's it. So I say, God, I want to do this. And that's it. So I'm appreciative for where I am in life. And if it continues to go the way it's going right now, I will die a very happy man. I can tell you that. I'm living a full experience of being human being, working on myself and understanding my limits and my strengths and my weaknesses and my attributes and my opportunities and exploring out loud.
Listen, that sounds like freedom to me. We just talked about freedom. Yes. Where can we stay connected with you? Where can we follow you and stay in touch? Please release that with us. Any special announcements that you just want to close us out with, go ahead and do that, and I'll wrap this thing up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As I said, Madam Walker, as I said, my name is Kris McDred. Anywhere you go is Kris McDred. YouTube is Kris McDred. I got great tutorials. People ask me this question, what do you do about thinning? I have 2 videos that explain causes, what would cause your scalp to thin from here and what would cause your lock to thin in the middle or on the tip. I have videos that have explained all that. I'm an Instagrammer. So if you want to connect with me, you DM me on Instagram. I don't do emails. I have an email address. I do emails for professional purposes, but even though it's a business, I'm still me. And so I hope emails get phased off eventually, honestly. But TikTok, and I'm going to be here for another 1 week, and just let's vibe. Let's just vibe with good intentions, and let's be humans that are intentional about loving ourselves first, and then loving each other, and knowing how to walk away when you're not happy instead of trying to make the other person look bad. Or trash talking the other person. Is like, okay, Madam Walker, I have come to your show. I have offered myself to come to your show. I have given myself to you. So, and you have allowed me to be here. Tomorrow, if I trash you, your responsibility will be like, I offered Kris my platform so he can speak to a bigger audience, to my audience. If he says something, I'm just going to walk away. And I'm going to do the same to be like, hey, I respect you and I love you, but this is where our journey ends, and there's no need for being, because I don't know who you will be tomorrow.
Right.
And I want to make sure that I don't miss out on any opportunity of living a full life as a human being. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you all. And I'm looking forward for us loving each other online purely and truthfully. Peace out.
Thank you so, so much. If you are tuned into this right now, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the Ladies in Motion YouTube channel for more exclusive content just like this today. I am so excited, and I have to thank again our sponsor, Renewed Canvas Beauty Bar, for sponsoring today's episode. We appreciate your love and support, and this is where you go if you need your crown blessed. This is where you should go, because all crowns deserve royalty. Okay, so make sure you hit up my girl, and this is where beauty is reborn and styles speak for themselves
Can I say something?
clearly, and then I'll let you close us out. Okay.
That is a Kris McDred certified center you will be taking care of. My people, the people we are in the group with, as their leader, when a client complains, I am very mean. Why? Because we vowed to offer great service. And I hold my people accountable, and they hold me accountable.
Amen.
So if you go to Renewed Canvas, when you go to Renewed Canvas, you're going to be well taken care. And if she doesn't, please send me a DM and say, this happened, I went tonight. Because I promise you, the way we do here, I am very cocky and arrogant about that. I am very unapologetic about how great I am at doing hair and how great I am about teaching. And I will very apologetic about, I offer 100% guarantee in my hands-on training classes that you will learn how to do hair. 100% guaranteed. And that 100% is the same 100% that I give to your customers when they come to you. So if you're in Atlanta, go to Renewed Canvas. She's one of my people. Her energy is it's also about energy. It's not just about greatness in work. It's about how do you feel when I'm talking to you? Would you want to sit with me and me bless, lay my hands on you and bless you?
Your head,
Yeah. So thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much, Madam Walker, for inviting me to your podcast. This is the first podcast that I'm doing in America, which is very interesting.
Exclusive.
To say that it's exclusive because I know I'll be on CNN, and I know people will remember when I first did my first podcast in America.
Thank you so much, y'all. Until next time, like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell button for more exclusive content to get it first here. Bye.